I know that this week we're going to be doing some readings and some discussions about the intersection between emergency management, humanitarian action, development and resilience, and peacekeeping. These are four critical and often overlapping domains that we run into in our careers as emergency managers. And it's essential that you understand the dynamic that happens when this occurs and how you might be able to operate successfully. Back in 1991, I was part of a international Red Cross and Red Crescent team that was deployed to the border between Iraq and Turkey to deal with a unbelievable crisis, one of the largest crises we had ever experienced. The military regime of Saddam Hussein had moved against the Kurdish population in his country, resulting in over 1 million refugees fleeing up into the mountains that are between Turkey and Iraq. And these are mountains, by the way, that are even higher and more rugged than our American Rocky Mountains. But we were deployed there to try to provide emergency medical services to these folks while the military coalition that had been established was working on essential logistical support of food, water, and shelter. It's hard to imagine that for hundreds of miles, almost 1 million people were strewn in little valleys and tucks and crannies in these mountains, and trying to get to them to try to minimize loss of life was really critical. And while we were providing the immediate emergency humanitarian needs, at the same time we were having discussions and planning sessions uh, within the realm of emergency management and dealing with decisions on how to get these people out of the mountains down into the flatlands of Turkey as a large refugee camp was being established to house up to 1 million refugees. And in doing so, we had to operate within a very politically charged environment. We were in a war zone. There were gunships flying constantly overhead. There were explosions in the mountains. There were landmines strewn everywhere. But we were dealing with discussions that were very delicate with the tribal leadership of the Kurdish tribes, with the national government of Turkey that was being forced or really having to assume responsibility for this large number of refugees, as well as with the different governments whose militaries were operating in the area as the political scenario was played out against the Iraqi regime. So obviously, as a leader of the NGO community, the International Red Cross was tasked with trying to organize the hundreds and hundreds of NGOs that were also deployed on the ground, each with their little mission or their little service set, trying to provide aid to these people and getting them to coordinate their assistance, minimize duplication of efforts, and maximize value add to the Kurdish people was a key part of my job there as head of the International Red Cross delegation. So you can see how complicated the conversations can get very fast. Everyone has their own agenda. Everyone considers their mission to be the priority mission, and trying to organize those, coordinate them, and ensure that there is a smooth operation was really critical. So I think it shows that, whether you're talking about a major international crisis like that or a large disaster here in the United States, your ability to work within the intersections between these different dynamics that are happening are really critical. Because at the end of the day, emergency management is a social science, and it's all about serving people and securing their safety and their security. And to the degree that you're able to operate in a very complex environment, will go a long way to ensuring the success of that mission.